Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk a little bit about my bench press and how it's been going as of late, since I haven't really talked too much about it other than saying that it's gone pretty well. So the clips you're seeing today, I don't know if I'll include last week's clips or just this week's clips, but just recently today I did 265 pounds with a 5x5, which I'm pretty sure is some sort of PR. I haven't really been keeping track of the more obscure kind of PR, just more of my absolute maxes and doubles and maybe even a triple if need be. But what I've been doing essentially for bench for a while is not really varying anything at all, and it hasn't really come back to bite me quite yet. I think I'm reaching the point where I'm sort of plateauing as far as the 5x5 structure goes, so I may have to vary that a little bit more. But I had my grip in for a while, and then I moved it back out, not all the way from where I had it before, but I think I kind of found my optimal pushing or pressing point, and that's essentially with my pinkies on the rings. I found that with my ring fingers all the way out that it put a little bit more strain on my shoulders, and while it was a shorter range of motion, it was slightly more inefficient for me to use since my shoulders are weaker than my triceps and chest. In general, it's my lagging part out of the three, so bringing them in a little bit more allows me to kind of grind through my triceps a little bit more. What I've also noticed with my bench as well, and I think one of the reasons why I've been able to kind of linearly progress with whatever 5x5 or whatever progression I happen to be using, is simply just the amount of shoulder work I've been doing, just from overhead pressing and push pressing and just any sort of overhead Olympic lift that or weightlifting movement that I'm doing, has allowed me to just really build that stability of just that pressing motion and the stability of my shoulders in a straining type motion of just holding the weight above my head. I think that has helped in large part with getting more speed off the chest, which is if you're going to have sort of a sticking point based on the shoulders, it's probably going to be right off the chest. Triceps is more higher, but what I found is as my shoulders I'm assuming they've gotten stronger, I haven't really been able to make a new max. I mean, my best push press is 175, and honestly, it's probably my max is probably about 180 right now. If I had good form, which I really don't, it would probably be higher than that. And that's my biggest lag on the push press as of now, but I'm still able to get a lot of volume in with the lower weights with that. And same with the overhead press. You know, as my form gets better, then I'll be able to do more weight, but just simply doing that volume is going to be beneficial to me. And it's not that I think my form's horrible with it, but there's always room to improve as far as that goes. And as my shoulders develop, then that speed off the chest will get a lot better. And I think the speed off the chest, I really notice it not really with my top sets of what I'm doing with my bench, but the last two sessions when I did a drop set with 225, and I did it was I think 6 pause reps the last time I benched, and then today I did 5 pause reps, and just that pause and then that explosion off my chest has gotten a ton better from what it was, and I think that really kind of catapults me past that tricep sticking point that sometimes is there with that. And what I've found with my bench press is that if I'm able to get past that shoulder sticking point, I can really grind out any reps. And that doesn't mean I'm going to get an extra 2 reps, but if I'm like stuck in a rep, if I can get past that little bit off my chest, then I'm pretty good at getting just the rest of the motion done with it for whatever reason that may be. And I think as my shoulders keep progressing, that I'll be able to add more and more to my bench, and I'll be able to bench more consistently with that. Another benefit I found since adding in a lot of the shoulder work is that benching kind of messes with my shoulder. It doesn't feel the best after benching all the time, but when I do overhead press stuff or weightlifting movements, I don't really have any sort of pain or bothersome aches or pains at all. And if I do, it's always kind of ironic. When I bench, it's usually my right shoulder, and when I do overhead stuff, it's like my left shoulder sometimes, and it's kind of bizarre, and it's not really consistent with either with that. And I think another thing that's helped my bench besides all the overhead pressing is just really putting more focus on rowing motions and developing my upper back with that. And I don't know how much overhead press versus how much the rowing has helped, but I think the combination has helped both to just in general build more strength in just every movement I'm doing, but also to just kind of build my bench more holistically than just benching a lot. Because when I've struggled in the past, my solution, which isn't necessarily a bad one, it was just to bench a lot. And the bench, I wouldn't even say too much because I never really had an issue recovering, but just to bench as much as I possibly could every time I go and do some sort of benching motion, because I was really mad That was back I think last year, maybe the year before, when I was stuck at 275 for a while. I got really mad when I did a Brandon Cable's PRS program, and I wasn't able to do any more than 275. I think I failed 285 and maybe 280 at that point. And I just benched all the time, which isn't necessarily a bad approach, especially if your body can handle it. And at that point, I could. If I tried to do something like that now, I'd definitely break down just because of the heavier weights that I'm using and just the aches and pains that I kind of go through on a daily basis with that. But there isn't too much else to talk about with my benching. My goal as I move forward is obviously to improve the bench in general, but it's kind of to keep progressing at this 5 rep range in some sort of capacity that I can. I don't necessarily have to stick to the 5x5 rep range that I've been using for the time being. What I will probably end up doing is continuing to add like 5 pounds a session if I can. If not, not freaking out about it. But would say I do 270 because I did 265 for 5x5, so I go to 270 the next time. If I get the first 2 sets with 5 and then I'm able to do sets of 3, then I'll stick with that weight until the point where I can do a 5x5 with that, and then kind of use that to unlock the next 5 pounds of weight. But if I'm able to do 5x5 with 270, then I'll just keep adding that 5 pounds. Although I'm kind of getting to that point where like that last set is kind of like the last couple reps are kind of getting very difficult to do, and you kind of see on this video with the last set that I did with 265, that last rep was a bit of a grinder with it. Although I haven't looked at the video, but I have a feeling that it moved faster than what it felt, because that's another thing, and I'll end on this note, is that even when I've like, wow, that was kind of a grind, it still kind of moves, and it's kind of a nice problem to have, because it kind of means I have good grinding abilities and I'm not getting stuck with that. And that's a more of a general thing I've noticed with bench as well as randomly with squats too, is I'm not really hitting sticking points as much, which is very good. It's something I've worked really hard to kind of build past and kind of just have a continuous motion, even if that motion sometimes is a grind or sometimes slow, but to not really hit a sticking point as much as just push through the whole motion with that. And I think that just helps really with both of those mechanics a lot, to just help me get through more reps with each of my sets with that. But that's about it that I have to talk about this video. So if you have any thoughts or comments, please leave those down below. And as always, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.